All right, here we go. Day one. Just for fun, I decided to start making some videos again. Fight my way out of a little bit of depression. No particular reason. I feel like I just got myself into kind of a funk. And I need to get out of it. So I figured this is the best way to do it. You just start talking your way out of it. And there's been many times when I thought, you know what, on the way to work, I should just throw the camera on and hit record just for fun, just to do it. And every day that I don't, I just go, maybe next time, maybe next time, maybe next time. It's kind of the same way with my exercise, I think to myself, next time, I'll work out tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll go do something, and then I don't, and then I feel bad about it. And reality is, sometimes you just got to hit record and go for it, I don't necessarily have a plan just yet. I haven't posted anything on social media in just over a month. I decided to take a break, and sometimes the comparing gets to me, trying to think how everybody's so successful out there, and no matter what they post is solid gold, and then I start wondering, how does any of that matter? I think I just get sucked into the falsehood that it matters or should matter in any way, shape, or form. And I just get sucked into it. It's social media, man. But this morning I was really trying to think, because I haven't figured out a way to get out of my funk. And this morning I started thinking, maybe I just need to start doing stuff because I'm still alive. That for a while there, that was a good motivator for me. I just thought, I am alive, and there's no other reason than the fact that, I've had heart surgery. I've had 2 heart surgeries and two pacemaker surgeries, and I have all kinds of weird health issues right now that I can't explain, and the doctors can't seem to explain either. I get super lightheaded, and I get dizzy, my eyes go funky, and it's frustrating, on top of being, 55 years old, and you start thinking, oh man, it's over, man, the dream's over, which is a bunch of BS. And then you see these people that get online that are like, I'm 55 and I'm jacked, and of course they are, and that's awesome. Or they're 60, or they're 65, or they're 75, or whatever. And you think, oh, well, I'm not them. I don't know what they've got, but I don't have that. And so we all have these weird issues to work through, and at some point you just gotta stop making excuses, and you gotta just start doing something. And the reality is, regardless of what anybody else does or doesn't do or whatever, the fact is, I'm still alive, man. I'm still here. My daughter is only 6 years old. She looks up to me right now, I think. I hope. But, she looks up to me. She's like, Daddy, and I want to be around for her. And I'm scared of dying, of course, like I've always been my whole life, because I was born with a heart defect, and, I didn't know if I would make it. And here I am, I'm still here. So I'm super thankful that all these years I've at least put my hand to photography, exercise, writing books, making films, making music, learning guitar. Like I've tried so many things, and I've done so many things, and I'm thankful for that. And I was a super, super shy kid. We moved so much, and I didn't make friends, and I still have a hard time trying to figure out what exactly friends are, even though technically I've got tons of friends, and I've got lots of friends online and in real life. But I don't hang out with people. I hang out with my wife and my daughter, and that's it. And I love them to death. And I don't think there's typically any place else I'd rather be than hanging out with them. But the reality is, you got to have balance in life. You got to know when to go spend some time doing something that you enjoy, or away from family besides just work. I mean, clearly I'm at work a lot. I mean, I have to go to work, and I'm thankful for my job. I love my job. I do photo and video for a living for the city, for Embark. I do all the transit photo and video. So I get an opportunity to do a lot of cool things. And if I'm not shooting, I'm editing. And I get gigs without even trying. Gigs come to me, so I'm always shooting, whether it be travel photos for somebody, or a graduation, or a real estate, or whatever. I mean, I don't even try to get these gigs. I've just at some point in time, I put my name on a website or whatever, and the gigs come to me, which I'm super thankful for, because it's extra money, and I'm so thankful for so many things. But at the same time, I'm not really living. I mean, I am to an extent. Clearly, here I am. I'm alive. But I'm not doing, I always think I should, after work, grab the family, go down, take photos of the sunset for fun. But then, of course, I'm like, well, who cares? What do I got to do with the photos? I've got thousands and thousands of photos that I don't do anything with, and I don't put anywhere, and et cetera, et cetera. Or what's the point? What's the point? Nobody's going to look at the photos. Nobody cares about the photos. But the reality is, you do it because you're alive. You go out and you take the photos because you are just still alive. And there's no better reason than because you're still alive. Take the sunset photos because, you know what? The truth is, the next time I go to the hospital for my heart, I might not be able to go take photos again. I might not be able to go running again, or do burpees, or whatever stupid thing that I'm deciding to do at that moment. At some point, it'll wrap up, and I won't get another chance. And I'm not going to lie, there's been many times in the recent past when I thought that might be the case, when I might not have another opportunity, and I was scared, and I powered through, and I truly thought there was times when I may never get to go out and exercise again. And my vocal cords were paralyzed after my heart surgery for 2 months. I couldn't talk, I couldn't eat. I ended up with a feeding tube, a peg tube in my stomach, because I couldn't swallow food, I couldn't drink water, none of those things without my lungs aspirating. So that's insane, man. And I lived through it, and here I am. And so I got to be super thankful for that. And to take it for granted is just such a shame. It is such a shame. And that's exactly what I'm doing, when I'm depressed and I come home and I don't want to do anything, and everything feels like a chore, and that's really such a shame. So here we are, giving it a whirl. And I'm going to get my morning coffee. I quit coffee for like almost a month, or maybe it was a month, and I thought maybe that would help. And the truth is, it didn't. It didn't do anything for me. Now, should I cut back on coffee? Yeah, probably. Coffee is probably not that good for me. But, sometimes having something to do is better than nothing to do. And the truth is, if I spent my time working on creative projects and more inspiring things, it would be more beneficial for me. Okay, I got to order my my coffee here. Yeah, just like a large iced coffee with a little half and half, please.
Do you have a one? Want to see at the window?
Thank you. So anyways, I've been drinking an iced coffee. I grab one on the way to work, and I sit at work and I sip my coffee all day. And yes, I have a very addictive personality, but sometimes I think to myself, I should use that to my advantage in some way, shape, or form. Since I have such an addictive personality, great. Spend time doing things, and sometimes I do. Like this year, well, actually, it's been almost a year since I released my first album. It's an AI album. I started creating AI music, and I produced an album, and I got it out on all the streaming services, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. I mean, it's on all the services. And since then, I've released 3 more, and I have some others that I want to release probably as well. But that's cool, man. I mean, I've released 4 albums. I enjoy the music. I listen to it all the time. And, it's lyrics that I worked on, combined with some AI as well. And the music, of course, is all AI, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I've also uploaded a ton of photographs. I mean, I have photographs that I have for sale that I've had for several years. And I've made a lot of money on my photographs. People buy them. It's fine art, for their walls and whatnot. And I've been super proud of that. And again, I don't try. I just put it on this website, and over time, people just buy it like every month. And so lately, I've released a ton of landscape photos and black and white photos from travels that I've taken that have just been sitting there. They do nothing. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'd rather have them out there for sale, or for at least people to see and enjoy, than just sitting on a hard drive somewhere. And I've had hard drives crash, so I've lost, God knows how many photos. And so it's important that I do something with the photos. So I've uploaded them, and I sell them. I make money. And between selling photos randomly, and I'll just get an email saying you sold 2 more photos, and I'll have a gig come through. I'll get a text or an email, say you're booked for Wednesday or Saturday or whatever it is. And when I'm not working, I make all this passive income. It's not always a ton, but it's a few $100s every month, and that's awesome. And I always think to myself, so what would happen if I gave it more effort? What would happen if I purposefully tried, to go out and to make money with these things? And we have a studio at home. It's like a double car garage that has been converted into like a big multi-purpose room. There's no garage doors or anything anymore. There's a door that goes to the front, and it's a pretty darn cool room for the most part. And we've used it, throughout the last decade for different things. I had a photo studio temporarily in there. Of course, it's been a family room. When my mother-in-law lived with us, it was literally our living room. There's been a lot of different things. I can't think of the word. A lot of different. It's been used for a lot of different things. Anyway, the point is, right now, it's just got stuff in it. I have a couch out there that I sit on a lot of times just for fun in the mornings or whatnot. Because I get up at 4:30 and don't exercise anymore. But it's a great room where I could have a podcast. I could do photo shoots. There's so many things I could do with it that I just don't. And I sit there and look at it every day, and I think, man, I really wish I could get the motivation to go use this room for something. And it's up to me what to do with that. It's not up to somebody else. It's not up to my wife. It's not up to some entity to come in there and change that. It's up to me. I used to do workouts in there in the morning. That's when I kind of first started working out, actually, doing burpees and things. And I just started making my YouTube videos. I'd go out there bright and early, and I'd do, 100 push-up challenge or whatnot. Not necessarily a one go, clearly, but I would just sit there and knock out a workout of some sort. And then it became burpees, and, now it does nothing. We have an old tattered couch that the dogs have worked up with their claws and whatnot, so it's garbage, but that's, anyway, I gotta grab my coffee here. This line took a long time.
Have a good day.
All right, thank you so much, appreciate it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Now I'm off to work. Off to see the wizard. But yeah, and I don't have a purpose for this this video or any of the videos. I don't have necessarily a reason to do it other than, I was reminding myself this morning that I am alive. I'm alive, and that's all that I honestly need that's all the motivation I need for anything, is just to remind myself I'm still here, man. And as long as I'm still here, I should be enjoying this ride, It's a crazy ride. And so here we go. I was getting into the car, and I was thinking to myself, I was reminding myself of that, and I was like, all right, man, you just reminding yourself again, you are alive, so there's no more excuses. It's time to do something with that. And so I dug the camera out real quick. I had the window mount in the trunk because I use it for work, and man, I just slapped the thing up there and I hit record. So again, I got to remind myself, it doesn't matter if anybody sees it. It doesn't matter if anybody watches. And I know that if I put the video on YouTube, the reality is nobody's going to watch this. I do know that. And I know that if somebody got this far, I'd be absolutely shocked. And in fact, if you do get this far, please leave me a comment and let me know that you got this far, because I would be honestly very shocked. I feel like I do have some good things to say. I do also feel like this style of video right here isn't necessarily the platform, because I'm not organized with my thoughts, and I didn't come with a purpose other than put the camera in the window and hit record. But having said that, I think there are some topics that might be interesting to some people. I think, my exercise journey would be interesting to some people. I've gained, I'm about 195 pounds right now, and I was down to close to 170 working out every day. And I felt pretty good about that for the first time. I was going for six-pack abs, and for the first time in my entire life, well, actually, I wouldn't say my entire life. When I was teenager, I probably had closer to a six-pack, only because I was super, super skinny. And I'm not saying I was just fit. I was fairly fit, for a skinny kid, but I was a skinny kid. I was very skinny, and I got made fun of for it. But, of course, when you have no fat on your stomach at all, you're going to have some sort of abs. That's just the way abs work. But since then, I made sure as I grew up and I was able to get all the food I wanted and eat fast food, and I made sure that I wasn't going to be skinny anymore. And I'm still skinny, ironically, skinny fat. I've got that skinny fat body, or whatever you call it. But I did get in better shape for sure over the last few years. And I got down to closer to 170, and now I'm at 195 because I just, after my last pacemaker surgery, I've had trouble, getting lightheaded, and I can't run very far. Things have changed, and I don't know the combination of all the things. I don't know why I can't do more than I do, but I do know that when you gain quite a bit of weight, you're not in shape, and you don't exercise, you're not in shape. So that is a big part of it. But it's hard to say what is not being in shape versus what is physical, with my body. I don't know the difference. And of course, being 55, on Christmas, I'll turn 56. I'm like, my God, where'd the time go? The brain starts ticking and it starts thinking, oh man, you're old. Of course, you're old now. You're not 20 anymore. You're not these young people. You're not a bodybuilder. You're not blah, blah, blah. And you have all these negative thoughts. And the reality is, you got to fight it, man. Because I can't get younger. You can't do that. You can do your best to get in shape. You can do your best to work on your mental health. You can do your best with what you've got, for sure. I can't fight whatever's going on internally, physically, but I can determine my mental state. To some extent. It's not necessarily easy, but it is possible. And so, and I know from experience that it takes time. It takes time to mend some of these broken thoughts. And of course, I've still got a lot of broken thoughts from childhood. I have had quite the experience in childhood, and as everybody, you've seen the memes, we've all got a sad story. What are you going to do? Get over it, basically. And, I do believe that my story might be beneficial to somebody who doesn't know how to get over it. And I know that starts with me helping myself. Maybe sharing the story with people would be helpful. Of course, there's a big part of me that says nobody cares, Nobody cares. And honestly, when I was making my breakfast, I was thinking to myself, nobody cares. And that's almost encouraging. That's almost motivating, because it takes all of the pressure off. If nobody cares and you realize nobody cares, you can stop worrying if anybody cares. If you put stuff out there literally that or you're pretty darn sure nobody's going to watch, then it makes it a hell of a lot easier if you're okay with that. Now when you think, oh, people are going to watch this and people are going to love this and this is going to be great, and you have all these high hopes and pressure and expectation on yourself, then it feels like you have to do something special, to get that. But when you don't have that, it's almost like a superpower, because what do you have to lose? You got nothing to lose. That's what. Nobody cares, and so why should you care? Do what you want to do. Live your life. Live your life to your fullest. Maximize. Get excited, And then I was thinking recently too about religion versus no religion, God versus no God, all the different philosophies out there. Because I'm always trying to figure out my why. I'm always trying to figure out the greater purpose. Why are we here? What am I supposed to do? What am I doing here? And I've struggled with that my whole life. And I've kind of come to the conclusion, it's funny being more of an intellectual person. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around people for centuries, thousands of years, have believed in gods, right? There was mythology. There was obviously religions, Christianity, Buddhism, whatever the religions are. There's a whole bunch of them. And people will stake their whole life on it based on their version of this God, which, as an intellectual person, I've never been able to just say, yeah, I believe that's true, because part of me is like, you really believe that there's this entity that's just sitting there in some alternate space, heaven, wherever you think this God lives, and it's helping you make decisions and judging you? None of that makes sense to me. I mean, absolutely none of that makes sense to me. Now, of course, religion would tell you that's what the devil wants you to believe. They want you to, the devil wants to trick you and make you believe that, there is no God. There is no God. But if you're really going to stop and think, regardless of what this energy is out there, because I do believe there's some sort of energy in the world, in our life, a life force of some sort. The version of God that we've all kind of created, throughout time and believe in with every bit of our beings, or so we try to say, just doesn't make sense. It's insane to me. And it's even more crazy how people, will fight wars and hate people and judge people and condemn people over this so-called God. That's weird to me. It's truly, truly weird to me, because it feels like if there was this God, why would this God be such an evil thing? Because I don't care what anybody says. If you're out there judging people, hating people, thinking you're better than people, that's evil. I'm sorry. To me, that's a definition of evil. Like, when your God makes you, ostracize people and keep them out of your tribe because they're different than you are, that's just evil. That is not love. That's not kindness. There's no joy in that. That's disgusting is what that is. So I tend to believe more along Native American lines. And don't get me wrong, I'm no expert on all the different religions and all their beliefs. This is all just, me pontificating? I don't know what the word is. Me summarizing, making it up as I go, everything that I've learned and heard. But I believe more on the Native American belief system of everything is connected. And of course, this is just my views. I mean, maybe they believe something different than what I have perceived, but I believe that everything is connected in one way or another, because it's too hard to look at the world we live in and not see how everything you do affects something, and everything that somebody else does affects something, and somehow we are all connected to each other. And I think that's amazing, and it truly is. And I really believe that what you do, what you decide to do, is what you're going to get in your life. Because when you wake up in the morning, every single day, you literally have a choice, regardless of what's happening, of how you're going to deal with that day. You could be joyful, you could be angry, you could be sad, you could be frustrated, you could be any of these things. You get that opportunity. And yeah, somebody's going to say, I wish it was that easy. Well, the truth is, it's not easy, and it never was easy. It never will be easy, probably. But it is possible, because you make a judgment on everything that you see, hear, taste. You make a judgment based on what you've learned, what people have taught you, what your belief system, and you get to choose what that's going to be. Whether you like it or not, you can choose to be happy, you can choose to be sad. You can choose to say, this is awful, or you can choose to say, this just is. Like, things happen, people die, people get sick, we get old, these things happen. There's no good, bad, or indifferent. These things just happen. I know that sounds crazy, but whether you believe it or not, they just happen. And what you do with that is up to you. Whether you want to celebrate somebody's life, that they were in the world in the first place, or whether you want to be sad for the rest of your life that they're not here anymore, or whether you want to do something in the middle is up to you. And yes, it is hard. It is hard. Life is hard, man. Nobody said it was going to be easy. And I think that's one of the misnomers. Sometimes I can't think of the right words. I think it's one of the misconceptions out there that, because everything is, you're owed something in this world. Life is supposed to be whatever, your perception of it is. Things aren't fair. Like, why do I have to deal with XYZ? Why did this happen to me? Why not them? Why were they born rich and I was born poor? Like, why? Like, we have this misconception that somehow the world or this so-called God owes us, or if we do good things, then somehow everything's supposed to work out for us. But the sad thing is, and you see it over and over, it's been proven over and over, that's not always true. Just because you do good doesn't mean anything will happen. Now, granted, if you put more good energy out there, you're probably going to have better things that come back to you. For instance, if you're walking down the street and you're angry, well, chances are people are going to react to you as an angry person walking down the street. If you walk down the street and you're smiling and you're singing and you catch eyes with people as you're smiling, you're probably going to have a better time of it, right? You're probably going to have more people acting positively, reacting positively to you. Again, none of it's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, man. You might just have the craziest looking look on your face and people might be like, oh my God, I don't know what to think of that person. That's cool, that's fair. But the fact that, we try to feel like people owe us or life owes us, that's wrong. Life doesn't owe you nothing. It just doesn't. So, and I feel like you got to make your own way out there. What you're going to put is what you're going to get. So, for instance, if you sit on the couch and you wish life would just give you a six-pack or get you in shape or make you feel better about life, you're going to be, disappointed. You're going to be pretty disappointed in life because, you sit on the couch isn't going to get you any closer to any of those things. In fact, it'll probably be the opposite. Now, if you go out and you exercise daily, you eat right, you meditate, you study, you're probably going to have a lot better time of it, and you'll probably get in a lot better shape. And, that's up to you. But that's because if you put the hard work in, you're probably going to get better results. Now, of course, results vary and lives vary and situations. There's a lot of components to this game that we call life, and it is a game, that's for sure, because how you decide to play the game will definitely determine what you get out of the game. But what is happening up here? I see a police car trying to block the road or something. But what you decide to get out of the game is up to you. And so, at any rate, blah, blah, blah. Look at me on my soapbox today. Sometimes you just got to get on that soapbox, man. And today, I'm just kind of clearing the cobwebs, talking, and sometimes, I've also thought, sometimes just hitting go and saying a few things is going to help you become a better speaker, have more creative thoughts. You just get a little bit better at life, get better at speaking. It's a journal of sorts. It's therapy. I need therapy, that's for sure. But I feel like this is a great way to get that therapy. And I'm really glad that I did this. I feel like if I did this every single day, I'd become a better speaker. I'd get more motivated. I'd probably get pretty inspired to go do something, like get back into photography, maybe grab my camera and go get that sunset photo, or, at lunch, take my camera and, go make some videos. Try to think of something creative to go out and do. Who knows? Maybe I'd connect with somebody on YouTube. Maybe you start posting these things daily, and after a few months, all of a sudden you have some people that are like, hey, I listen to your content, I really enjoy it. And that's awesome, man, because now you have some connections and you've made a friend, and maybe they do the same thing. Maybe they hear you, they get inspired, and they say, I'm gonna do that, and they hit record as well, and they just start speaking their mind, and maybe they go on a walk. Maybe you take it for a walk and you do the same thing. Maybe you go on a run. Maybe who knows what it could tip off. But if you decided not to do it, then I know one thing for sure. That little scoreboard in your head says, okay, well, that's one more time that you said you're going to do it and you didn't do it. And every time you say you're going to do something to yourself or to everybody or to anybody and you don't do it, you have a little more disappointment that you didn't follow through. And that's the trap that I kept falling into. And you know what? I made a difference today. Today I won. Today I plugged in the camera and turned it on and I hit record. All right? So today I'm alive, and I'm here to say, hey guys, I'm still here. I'm still alive, and I feel pretty good about that. So what am I going to do with this wild ride? Because you only get one, as far as we know. We don't know what happens. But I'm happy today, and I'm happy I'm here. So with that, on that note, I think I'll sign off. I'm almost to work. I made it almost all the way to work talking, which is kind of fun, honestly. I've enjoyed this. So if anybody is watching, I appreciate you watching. If anybody wants to follow my journey, I appreciate you following my journey. If you leave a comment, man, that inspires me. That if you heard any of this, if you, maybe you learned a little something about me, maybe you learned something about yourself. I think that's awesome. Maybe I just inspired you for a second. Who knows? But either way, that makes me happy. Let me know. I appreciate it. All right, well, that's all I got for today, and who knows? Maybe I'll hit record again at some point. See you later.